Hey guys, just like the video I made for the Breaker Power Pass, I wanted to make another video talking about the classes that I would recommend for you to consider as your next character in the current meta. I'm going to break this down into three categories: accessibility, utility, and damage. And I'm going to suggest two classes from each of these categories. That way I can try to cover as many playstyles and preferences as possible. One caveat is that while there is a damage category, every single class that I'll suggest today will do very respectable damage, so any of these classes will be a good choice for the inner Goblino inside of you. I won't be mentioning any supports though in this video, as the choice is pretty obvious. If you want to play a support, just make one, and you really can't go wrong with any of them. So I'm just going to be recommending DPS classes on this list, so with that out of the way, let's dive into this list. When it comes to accessibility, these are classes that I feel would be suitable for anyone in the game to pick up. Whether you're a brand new player or a player who's been playing this game for over 8,000 hours, these classes are simply easy to pick up, fun to play, and as a result will allow you the freedom to think about and hone your basic understanding of how to DPS well in Lost Ark. The first class that I would recommend in this category is once again the Windfury Aeromancer. This was a class that I recommended in the last video as well, and it continues to be on this list because I simply think that it is, in my opinion, the most accessible class in the game for all players. On top of being a crit synergy for your party, your identity skill increases the attack speed and move speed of all of your allies in your party, acting like a pseudo yearning buff. As a Windfury Aeromancer, you will definitely be an amazing asset to any raid that you participate in. There are a few reasons why I consider this class a strong candidate for the accessibility category. The first reason being that it is a crit swift class, and as a result, you don't have to worry about having the highest quality accessories, and you're not tied to any wealth runes whatsoever. Additionally, this class is a hitmaster class, meaning that there is a ton of flexibility in the way that you approach each and every fight that you choose to participate in. And lastly, the most important reason why I would recommend this class overall is because there is a ton of flexibility in the builds that you can use for this class to suit your needs. From the easy to play full hallucination build to the higher ceiling and high APM full swift domination or full crit nightmare build, this class has a wide variety of playstyles to suit your desires. Did I mention that this class also got buffed in the recent patch? The next class that I would recommend for the accessibility category is the Knight's Edge Soul Eater. On top of being one of the most consistently strong classes in the game, the Knight's Edge Soul Eater is an extremely accessible class as well. In many ways, the reason why I would recommend this class are very similar to the reasons why I would recommend the Windfury Aeromancer. For one, they're both hitmaster classes, meaning that there's a lot of flexibility in your positioning and where you want to play around the boss. Additionally, while this class is a crit main class, because of the movement speed buff it gives itself, you're almost always running around at max movement speed, making it one of the more mobile classes in the game. But where it does lack compared to the Windfury Aeromancer is that its synergy is nothing to write home about. But where it lacks in utility, it makes up in the damage that it deals, as the Knight's Edge Soul Eater is often considered to be one of the strongest classes in the game. But wait, didn't you make a video in the past about how you wouldn't recommend Knight's Edge Soul Eater to new players? Well, while that is true for the meta 413 skill build for new players, I think that the less popular but still fairly strong 422 skill build is actually a pretty good option for new players looking to try this class for themselves, as it is much more flexible in its rotation and its playstyle. As for the utility category, these are classes that I believe bring a ton to the party in both damage and support. These are classes that I would recommend to anyone who is looking to not just be a DPS bot, but is also looking to help their teammates perform better as well. The first class that I would recommend in this category is the Esoteric Skill Enhancement or Esoteric Wardancer. The Esoteric Wardancer is, in my opinion, the most well-rounded and versatile class in the entire game. It is pretty much able to do everything, from providing a ton of utility to dishing out a ton of damage. Much like the Windfury Aeromancer, the Esoteric Wardancer has one of the most sought out synergies in the game, the crit synergy. But on top of this crit synergy, this class also provides an attack speed synergy and is able to keep that up much more consistently than that of the Aeromancer, since this synergy is on a regular skill as opposed to their identity skill. It also has relatively decent stagger and destruction, in addition to having one of the fastest counters in the game. The Esoteric Wardancer is truly an extremely versatile class, but while it is extremely versatile, it is definitely a class that does need a bit of time investment before you can play it at its fullest potential, as it does rely on you having high quality accessories and wealth runes. The second class that I would recommend for this category is again the Lone Knight Gunlancer. Like the Windfury Aeromancer, I also recommended this class in my last video, as there really isn't any other class in the game that beats the Gunlancer in terms of the utility that it brings to the raid. With the ability to call upon an enormous shield on command, this class is definitely the tankiest class in the game. And while this class isn't the strongest when it comes to damage, the numbers it can put out can definitely be quite surprising, and if played well, it can definitely outperform a large number of other DPS classes in the game. But while damage isn't quite the area this class shines the most, the Gunlancer likely provides the best utility of any class in the game outside of the supports, the Paladin, the Artist, and the Bard. The Gunlancer has 2 counters in its kit, and in addition to that, you also bring the ability to provide shields, damage reduction, and cleanse to your entire party. The Gunlancer is also equipped with one of the most unique abilities in the game, a taunt. While this taunt is not able to interrupt the attacks of Legion commanders, it will allow you to interrupt most enemies' attacks and stop them from moving for a few seconds, allowing other DPS to dish out as much damage as possible during this window of time. Additionally, this taunt will also provide your party with a synergy that will boost the damage of any entropy class in the game, making basically any and all positional classes fall in love with you. And the last category, the one you've all been waiting for, but also likely will not be surprised by my choices, is the damage category. Simply put, which classes would I recommend to pick if you're just looking to pump big numbers? The first class that I would recommend has to be the Igniter Sorceress. This once OP class that was brought down to earth at one point is back at the top again. When it comes to the strongest classes in the game, the Igniter Sorceress is definitely one that would be in contention for the top spot. Recently receiving a huge buff, the Igniter Sorceress is one that is consistently seen at the tippy top of the DPS charts. And while some may argue that a class like the Surge Deathblade or the Asura Breaker may have a higher ceiling than this class, if we look at the data, this class is the only class that you will almost always see taking the #1 DPS spot in every single raid, and usually by a pretty wide margin. So if you want to pump big numbers and drop giant meatballs onto bosses, the Igniter Sorceress is definitely the way to go. And the last class that I would recommend today, and the last class in the damage category, is definitely the Asura Breaker. As I mentioned when I was talking about the Igniter Sorceress, the Asura Breaker is definitely another class that is in contention for one of the strongest classes in the game, and in many cases, I would even go as far to say that it is the best class in the game. Not only because it has extremely high damage though, but it's also because its kit is extremely loaded. On top of its insane damage output, it also has high stagger, high destruction, sports 2 counters, and also has access to a huge shield that can make some of the strongest attacks from your enemies feel like a small tickle. And to be honest, you could probably put this class in every single other category that I mentioned before this. But the one downside to this class is that it is a front attacking class, and that in itself a little bit more difficult to play than a lot of other classes on this list. But if you want to do a ton of damage and look flashy while doing it like a JoJo character, the Asura Breaker just might be your next class. So, that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you guys thought this video was both entertaining, enjoyable, and also informative. If you want to play any of these classes that I mentioned on this list and are wondering where to start, I'll leave links in the description below to the Lost Ark Nexus community guides where you can get a great head start on learning how to play each and every single one of these classes. And while I only listed 6 classes on this list, there are definitely quite a few other classes that I think could be a part of this list, but these are just the top classes that I think fit the meta currently. So let me know down in the comment section below if you have any other classes that you'd like to add to this list. And as per usual, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit the like button, hit the sub button, ring the bell for notifications, and also I stream on twitch.tv/MisoXQ every single day. So hopefully I see you guys on my stream, but if not, hopefully I'll see y'all in the next video. Alright guys, peace out.